Hi dear Stitchers, it's Judy with JBW Designs and I want to welcome you back to my channel. This is about cross stitch and I can't believe it. I have 1,700 subscribers, which I find just amazing and wonderful, and I can't thank you enough for taking the time to watch. I so appreciate all of you. Your comments are wonderful to read. I get updates on your lives and what you're stitching on and what you're interested in and what questions you have. So it's such a wonderful community to be a part of. My children will laugh when they hear this, but I often use the words egads and yikes. And so that's going to be my introduction to tell you about kind of the twists and turns my life has taken just in this past week. So I think most of you might have heard, if you watched the last video, that I was having surgery on my face last Monday actually to take off a cancerous spot. And I'm sorry to say that it turned out to be fairly large, which is why I am wearing this enormous bandage on my face. And they were not able to close it. So this coming Thursday, I'm going to be having plastic surgery on this area, and I'm just hoping that the plastic surgeon will be able to fix it. So this is such a kind and compassionate community, and I know you'll be there for me to help me through the next couple of weeks, which I really don't know quite what to expect. I think they could be challenging, but I have so many blessings in my life that I still am very grateful for everything that is going on. I want to give you a little, another funny story about my sense of direction. And it is actually, I have no sense of direction. My husband loves to walk outside and say to me, Judy, tell me which way is west, and I don't have a clue. I don't know why. My sister and I laugh about it. She doesn't have a sense of direction, and neither does our daughter. So it must be a family thing. So when I told you last week that where Cornwall was in England, and I was trying to describe it, I said that it was in the northwest corner, and that just shows you that don't trust me when I'm giving you directions. It's actually in the southwest corner, and it's like a peninsula that runs. Here's London, and here's the peninsula of Cornwall. It's actually a fairly good size. I read it had like 200 miles of shoreline, so it is quite a large size. And that is going to lead me to my next topic. I have been telling you a little bit each week about this sampler that I bought this summer, and I'm calling it the Monica Marshall sampler because that's the name of the, let's see, where did I put it? Here it is, of the girl who stitched it. And each week I do a little more research on not only her life, but where she lived in Cornwall, which has turned out to be just fascinating. I'm loving doing this research. I had no idea, and I really have to stop doing it, I think, because you can keep going and going and going trying to find out more details, but I think it's fascinating. So I want to show you, first of all, I'll show you the sampler again. So we know that it was stitched in 1902. We know that Monica, was, let's just set this down, was 11 years old. And I think what I found out since I talked to you last is that the census shows her living in this house called Georgie Manor, which, as you know, I also can't pronounce things, so don't trust me on that pronunciation. And we know that she lived there when she was not only 10, but when she was 20 years old. And what I have found are pictures of the home. I think I have found pictures of Monica, which is really quite amazing. So first of all, I want to show you, her father was William Nicholas Connick Marshall, and this is a picture of her father. And there was an article that I discovered that was written, let me tell you the name of it was a magazine that was published at that time, and it was called Coventry Homes, Gardens, Old and New. And their home was actually featured in this magazine. And so I learned a lot about it. The house was actually built in 1820. You can see a picture of it. And it passed through the family. It actually, there were times when there were no direct descendants. So in this case, her father inherited it from an aunt. And what I found in looking on this, in this article, and I have not been able to enlarge these. My skills as a graphic person need to be improved. But anyhow, these are pictures that show what I believe are her father standing in front of the house. We know that he hunted, those were the hounds. And one of the most interesting facts about this house that I just found out is that it was known for its giant yew trees. So that's Y-E-W. And they were quite unusual. That's the front entrance of the house. And there are those giant, it looks like mushrooms, yew trees that sit on the property. So one of the other pictures that I discovered here, and as I say, this is not a great one, but I believe, let me fold this here, that this is a picture of Monica when she was probably 8 or so. I believe that was her mother. I think that these might have been 2 servants. And then what I wasn't able to print was that her father and brother were actually standing over to the side. And I want you to study a couple things in that photo. For one, look at the hat that Monica's wearing and her dress. It's quite fancy, especially for a little girl to wear a big hat like that. And the other thing that I loved, I'll try to get this closer, is I also want you to look at the size of the waists of the servants, because I think they're probably like 18 inches around, which maybe was common for that era. Anyhow, I thought those pictures were interesting. I think I have one more photo, actually, yes. And one of the elements of the house that they talked about is the clock tower. And I believe this might be Monica and her brother, her older brother, standing near the clock tower. So it has been fun, absolutely wonderful to discover all these things. I also know that she married at the age of 26 in London. She had 2 children. She actually lived in London in 1937, which on Hanover Square, so I've been researching that area of London. And then you have to think about, now the war is coming. In 1939, she moves to Somerset, England. In 1946, she lived in Bristol, England. And she actually lives to be 86 years old, which is probably quite remarkable for that time period. So I hope you're enjoying these little tidbits that we're finding out about this sampler. I think it's quite amazing. Most of the samplers that I own, I've not been able to discover that much about. So here is our remaining mystery. First of all, we have this photo that was found behind the sampler. And again, I still haven't any clue as to why or where it's from. I did write a letter, however. There's a group of people in that area, Tregeorgie of England, of Cornwall, who actually have set up like cottages, and they look quite nice, where you can stay. And I have written to them and told them about what I have found, and was hoping that perhaps they might write back to me to tell me if they could give me any more information about the little girl, but I haven't heard back yet. And then the other question is, how did this sampler get to the US? Because we can't figure that out. I haven't found any record of her mother and father, or she or her children, immigrating to the US. So we'll keep looking, right? So I've been researching several other samplers too. Uh, and I don't want to bore you with too much of the samplers because I have other things to show you today. But I am working on one. I think I might have shown you this before. Sorry, it had a little something dust on it. So this is the Edith Isherwood sampler. And again, it's quite interesting. It is English. It was stitched in 1884 when she was 11. I love the colors of it. This is stitched on quite a coarse linen. I actually have stitched this again myself. I don't always restitch my antique samplers, but I did do this one. And I'm hoping to find out more about Edith. All right, here's another odd fact. When I received this sampler in the mail, this was the picture that was behind that sampler. And I don't know if somebody just used it to mount the sampler on. It was actually stapled all the way around. But this picture was printed in London, and it's called The Presence in the Midst. So we're not sure, of course, how that came to be. I seem to be having luck with finding photos, right? I am working on a couple other interesting pieces. I have an Italian sampler that I just love. It's long and narrow, and I know the name of the girl who stitched it, and she also stitched it in 1894 in a little town near Venice, but I have not been able to discover anything about her family. I'm working on another piece that's I'm calling it Helene Schnorr, and this was stitched in 1874. This was a very fine linen. In fact, sorry for the glare here, I have to I've charted this, determine the count and the size so I can tell you what's count linen that she's been stitching this on. But I think I have discovered that she lived in Iowa. And I'll show you what I've been stitching on, which has been really fun to do. I've been stitching her sampler again just because I don't have a good reason. This is on a 36 count Edinburgh linen called Winter Moon. I'm stitching it in a red, and I've forgotten, I think it's a Sullivan's red actually. So I'm using one ply over 2 threads. And as you can see, mine is going to be quite a bit larger than the original. But I'm almost done. I've got a couple more rows to go, but that's been fun to stitch on. And then I have another really old one from 1805. So these are all projects that are going to appear next year. So I want to finish up today my sharing with you of the fall models. And I have a few more to share, not a lot. And I mean, we're in the middle of October already. Your interest in fall models might be falling off, but I'll show you what I've got today. And then the next time I film, I hope to jump into Christmas. So let's see here. This is one that I did not show you last week. This is called The Witch's Hat. And you can see that this was stitched on a black linen. This was stitched in white over 1. And this board was cut for me by Kelmscott. And if any of you were interested in working it, I think mounting it on this very board, I think I have 4 left. So you'd have to email me to let me know if you wanted one. This is what the book looks like. And let's see, and let me show you. This is what the model looks like stitched over 2. There's a glare there. You can see I worked it on an orange linen. Let me tell you what I did it on. I did it on a 32 count Belfast orange, and the Swigert was a 28 count. So it's a fairly small design, but it was finished as a pillow. So that was the Witch's Hat. Let's see, we'll make a pile over here. This one is going to be kind of awkward to show you, but we'll work on it together here. So this is called Alphabet Owl. You know, I love my alphabets. I love doing designs and trying to squeeze in all those letters. This has been stitched over 1. Let me get that up close. And let's look, it was probably a 28 count. No, I did it on a 30 count, Northern Cross linen, which I don't think is manufactured anymore. That was a Witchell linen, but you could do it on a 28. And then I also stitched it, and I'm gonna have to stretch here to reach this. All right, I used this, actually, I used this when I had my display at Needlework Galleria. So this is the same design worked over two. You can see it up close, and I just mounted it in the center of a wreath. So that makes kind of an unusual finish for you to think about. And that book looks like this. So that's Alphabet Owl. I just use little brass charms down at the bottom. All right, I have two other designs. I have a couple other actually. Two that I don't have the model with me to show you, but I'll just tell you about. This appeared a while ago. Let me show you the whole piece. This was called Halloween Alphabet. So that is what the cover of that book looks like. Sometimes the older titles are very difficult to find, but you can always write to me and to see if I have, I think I have a few of those left in stock. And then another one that's been very popular through the years was Alphabet Pumpkin, or French Country Pumpkin. Let me take that back, it's not an alphabet. And that was done quite a while ago, but for some reason it has stayed popular all this time. I don't think I have any more models or pictures of that one. Another one that I did, another set that I did quite a few years ago, was called Halloween Ornaments 1, 2, 3. And so you can see what these books look like. I still have a few more of those in stock. And I've displayed these, excuse me, one second here, in a variety of ways. And actually, I have a picture of it. Good. Years ago, I'm trying to think, where did I find this? I found this black, like metal tree. I think it might have been at a Hallmark store, actually. But you might be able to go online and find something like that. I have also displayed these models on a wreath, and that would really work well too. So let me grab my pile of models. They're all numbered on the back, but I'll just show you them quickly one by one. So there's a little witch's boot. There is a tiny owl. Some of them have beads, some of them have charms. Here's a little witch in a pumpkin. Here is a little basket with candy corn in it. Here is a basket with two black crows. Here is, let's see, let's straighten this out. Here's a little haunted house with a ghost charm. Let's see, here's a little witch's hat. That little button is from Just Another Button Company. Here is a basket with apples. A cat with a moon and some bats, black cat. Here is a little squirrel and a pumpkin. And here is, let's straighten this one out. Here's a cat on a fence. And the last one is a little pumpkin with acorns. And if you'll notice in the background of these, I just used, I stitched stripes. So the stripes kind of form the background for these. These would not be hard to finish. We've talked about finishing before. This would take one piece of what I use, what I told you about, the comic board covered with the backing fabric, and then a second piece with your mounted linen design. And this, I believe, that little black furry trim, I think is called Eyelash, and I believe it's from Rainbow Gallery. I will have to do further research if you're interested in that. But that's an older set of patterns that I thought you might want to see. All right, then I have, whoops, crash. Sorry, that was probably scary. I have another design that came out a year ago, and this was Halloween in the Round. And I finished this once again in two different ways. Here it is finished just on pumpkin, a wooden pumpkin that I found that I, let's see, let's get these on here, that I just painted orange. That was one way. This is stitched over 2. Let me lay that down before I crash things for you again. And that was worked on a 30 count weeks linen called Angel Hair, which is a very pale yellow. And I really like the background of that one. And then I also stitched it over 1 and mounted it on another pumpkin that I found. And I like this because it can sit flat on a table when I'm not tipping it over, right? And then, let's see, so that's all of my fall designs to share with you. My next topic, I have things all lined up here, so hopefully we're organized, somewhat organized, is that I have, and I've told you about it a couple times, I love it because I'm getting lots of new subscribers to this page. I have a Friends of JBW Designs Facebook page, and people post things that they've stitched of my designs, that they've stitched in a different manner, and I just love seeing what they've done. So I have 3 or 4 to show you this week that have occurred, and hope you bear with me. So this was done by Terry, who is a frequent contributor to my page, and I love what she did. Stitchers, this is such a great idea. So she took the design that appears in, let's see if I can find the book title. Here it is. So this appeared in the French Christmas tag book from a year ago. And it's just a doorway to a house. But what she did to personalize it is she is making these as ornaments for family members and friends. And down here at the bottom, she has put their house number. So she's really made it just so special for each ornament that she's going to be finishing. So thank you, Terry, for that. And then this picture came from Deborah, and she had taken my design, which is called Rose Motif Sampler, and she stitched it in a deep red, and she found this antique frame, and I just thought it was stunning. I loved her finish of that. So I thought I'd share that with you, and this is what Rose Motif Sampler booklet looks like. Could be stitched really in any color. And then the third one that I received was from Trisha, and people just love this idea. So I believe a couple weeks ago I showed you this wooden joy that was, it is available, through Hobby Lobby. And she took my alphabet in the round design and she really personalized it. So if you look closely at that, her last name is Kennedy. So she stitched the K of the alphabet in a green so that it would show up. And this is stitched over 1, and then she mounted it in the center of this joy little display, wooden display piece. And I just love how people take my designs and add something to them to make them really, really special. And as you know, the book for that, The Alphabet in the Round, looks like this. That was stitched over 2. And then I also stitched it in the red and green for the over 1. So I thought that was fun to see. Let's see, and then I have one more to show you, and I'm going to apologize ahead of time because I believe this was sent to me in an email or an order. And if you're watching and you are the person who sent this to me, please let me know because I want to recognize you in the next video. But she stitched, look at how many of my French country designs she has stitched. I was just blown away. I have never seen so many designs stitched in so many unique colors. It was so much fun. She's done the fruit, the strawberry, the cherries. Here's the lamb. This is hard to see, but the hen is there. The umbrella, the apple, the squirrel, a moor. the rabbit, the balloon, the pig, and the butterfly. So she has a wonderful collection. Now we have to wait to see how she's going to finish them all. So that will be fun. And then the one other thing I wanted to show you when I showed you the little house pattern is that this is it stitched over 2, and this is the design stitched over 1. And as I've mentioned in the past, those are mounted on these little wooden tags that I import from France. So if you're interested, just send me a note, or I can tell you the name of a shop who is carrying them. So my next topic for today is, I haven't done this in a while, but I want to recognize independently owned needlework shop. And this particular one that I'm going to talk about this week is called Tomorrow's Heirlooms. And they are in Glen Ellyn, Illinois. It is owned and run by a mother and daughter team, Pam and Kim, who I have known for years and years. Kim is actually a teacher and has a 12-year-old son, but she's in all of the business. She does all of the IT work. She and her mom work beautifully together. What a wonderful gift for the two of them to have this business. And incidentally, they do a ton of mail order. So if you are looking for something, they are one of the shops that is on my automatic, and they're very good about ordering my products. So if you need a source for anything, please contact them. And I want to read to you a little bit about what Pam wrote to me about, because I wanted some information on the history of the shop. So they opened the shop in the fall of 1988, and they were in that location until 4 years ago when they moved about half a block away and tripled their space. People are always surprised and curious to know we are mother-daughter. And she said just the other day they were working together and a longtime customer heard Kim say "Mom" and was shocked. Kim does the IT side of the business. They stitch well over 100 models a year. We often say we have no life, but we do love what we do, and after all these years are still passionate stitchers. And that's kind of how I feel about my business. I love what I do. I feel so lucky to have this. And she said our professional partnership is a huge blessing. Glen Ellyn is 25 miles due west of Chicago. They also offer counted canvas classes. And they used to have groups, but she said currently they are not doing group lessons, but just like all shops, they're hoping to open again soon. I believe they're open for customers to come in. I just don't think they're doing classes in their shops. So let's see what else is on my list for today's. I have prize winners. So I made a little mistake last week. I don't know how I did this, but you'll forgive me, right? I thought I had 5 of these kits left. And then when I went to pull them out, I realized, whoops, I wasn't counting correctly, and I only have 3. So I have 3 prize winners from our last video, and this is what I'm giving away this week. This is a round robin design that I taught in Needlework Galleria, and I've even forgotten what I called it, Christmas heart, I think. And this is the design that was stitched over 2, and then I did the little scissor fob and stitched it over 1. And so all of the ingredients to finish this are in this little bag. So the directions, the fabrics, the floss to make the cording, etc. So these are my winners. If you will contact me through my email, I'm not very good about answering the messages, but email works great. My email, incidentally, is Judy, Judy, at jbwdesigns.com. That's the best way to ask me questions, find out something that you're dying to know about. My winners this week are Glee Hanson, Hanson, Jerry Fix, and Sandra Moore. So please write to me. And then there's, do I have a note? Yes, I do. There is one prize winner from the last video that I have not heard from yet. and she was going to win the Dashing Through the Snow pattern. Her name is Cindy Katvin, Katvin. So I want to give her one more chance here to contact me so that I can send her the prize. And then I'm thinking that the next time that I do a video, and I'm not sure actually how long that's going to be till I do one, I'll give prizes again. And so my question this time is going to be, tell me where you're from. I'm so interested. I get notes from Canada, Australia. The breadth of the reach of Flosstube or YouTube channels, I think, is just incredible. So it's kind of fun to know where are my watchers watching from. That's what I'm curious about. Let's see. My plans, I actually have to self-isolate from now until the surgery on Thursday, which is actually, I'm a happy person doing that. I have stitching, I have designing, I have charting to do, and then look what I bought about a couple months ago. I love puzzles. Do you love puzzles? And I bought this puzzle, which is just right for anybody that loves to stitch. It's called the Vintage Sewing Puzzle. So if you can picture me, I think I might start that very soon here. It's very calming to do a puzzle. So I want to leave you just with a little piece of advice that I saw from another video, and I thought it was so apropos. Believe it or not, everybody makes mistakes when they're stitching. Even designers make mistakes. And I have to kind of laugh at myself because I have designed this, I have charted it, and yet I'm stitching the model and I still make a mistake. Hey, guess what? We're all human. So I want you to think about this. Try not to worry about them. And you don't necessarily have to fix every one of them. If you can figure out a way to keep stitching and not have to go back and take out, I'm going to encourage you to do that, because it's the journey that's the fun part, and we don't want you to go backwards in your journey. So my word of wisdom for this week is just stitch away and enjoy and have fun with what we love to do. So thank you again. I'll see you hopefully in a couple weeks. Bye-bye.